See Evening News with Frank Reynolds. Tonight, in Vietnam, Allied forces strike in the demilitarized zone. Rescue teams in West Virginia refuse to abandon hope. In Washington, Democratic Chairman Larry O'Brien analyzes the presidential campaign. And a special report on O.J. Simpson, winner of the 1968 Heisman Trophy. Now, here is Frank Reynolds.
Good evening. For the first time since President Johnson ordered the bombing halt on November 1st, American and South Vietnamese troops crossed into the demilitarized zone between North and South Vietnam today and attacked enemy gun positions that have been shelling American bases just south of the neutral zone. There was sharp resistance from the North Vietnamese troops, but no details on casualties have been disclosed. U.S. commanders also report that enemy guns located inside the demilitarized zone fired on 5 U.S. reconnaissance planes yesterday, but all the planes returned safely. Allied sources in Paris say the United States has told Hanoi to stop firing at American reconnaissance planes over the north and has made it clear that such flights will continue. Today, Hanoi charged that American planes had bombed and rocketed North Vietnamese soil in violation of the bombing halt agreement. It is the American position that reconnaissance flights do not violate the agreement and that the United States has the right to take what is called suppressive action against ground installations firing against the unarmed reconnaissance planes. There is more evidence tonight that Saigon is about to join the expanded peace talks in Paris. Details now from ABC's White House correspondent Bill Gill.
President Johnson and Saigon's President, too, have a great deal for which to be thankful. Mr. Johnson had gambled that Saigon would eventually come to the peace talks. Now he has won that wager. President, too, is prepared to negotiate, beginning no later than the second week of December. President Johnson has passed that assurance along to both Hanoi and Moscow. For the record, President, too, is the big winner in his diplomatic defiance of Washington's earlier Paris arrangements, for he held out against U.S. demands that he immediately come to the peace tables. This proved once and for all to skeptic politicians that he is no puppet of Washington, and greatly strengthened his own government's future stability. Now, with his independence established, Mr. Tu has won an even greater diplomatic victory. The U.S. has dropped its insistence that only we shall decide terms of de-escalation and U.S. troop withdrawals. Finally, we have said that Saigon will have a say in these matters according to its own political needs. And so, as President Johnson flies home for the Thanksgiving holiday, he can look back on a successful week. An international monetary crisis solved or forestalled, peace talks now imminent, and hopes for a meeting with Russia's Premier Kosygin again look promising. All things considered, the presidential family has cause to celebrate. This is Bill Gill, ABC News, Washington.
Just south of Da Nang today, about 7,000 American Marines and South Vietnamese troops are completing what is called Operation Meade River. More than 200 of the enemy have been killed and 43 Viet Cong have been captured. The objective of this encircling action is to clear the Viet Cong out of an area they have controlled for, say, 20 years. But in order to do that, it is also necessary to clear out the other people who live there. ABC's Kenneth Gale reports.
Instant refugees, more than 2,000 of them, taken from their homes in less than 3 days without prior notice and put in this tent city. It's one of the largest combined military-civil operations of the Vietnam War. These women, children, and old men lived in hamlets about 15 miles down the coast from Da Nang. Their young men are fighting with or hiding from the Viet Cong and government forces. U.S. Marines have been based near there for more than 3 years now, but still the Viet Cong were able to operate almost at will in the hamlets. Sweep after sweep through the hamlets by Marines and Vietnamese government troops failed to drive the Viet Cong out. And as usual, the people who lived in the hamlets suffered the most whenever there was fighting. This time, in an operation called Meade River, they have been brought out of the hamlets while Marine and government forces try to rout the Viet Cong in a massive cordon and search maneuver. Some 5,000 Marines have formed the cordon around an 18-mile perimeter. There are no gaps. The Marines are almost shoulder to shoulder. At the end of the operation, the people will be taken back into their homes. In the meantime, South Vietnamese troops are pushing into the cordon, hoping either to force their enemy into a set battle or drive them into the Marine cordon. In each of the tree lines and hedgerows these government troops are slogging through are hundreds of fighting holes and hiding places underground. While there is no movement at night, the open spaces of the operation area are kept lit by flares and bombarded by artillery and airstrikes. U.S. military officials believe there are 2 Viet Cong North Vietnamese battalions caught in the cordon. They were apparently caught by surprise. Operation Meade River appears to be a success in its design as far as it goes. But ultimate success depends on men like these, South Vietnamese militia and field police, who will be charged with the security of the people who will return to this home and others like it when the operation is over. Kenneth Gale, ABC News, on Operation Meade River.
In a moment, today's rescue efforts at the coal mine.
What's the matter?
I can't sleep. I'm all tensed up.
I'll take a sleeping tablet.
Aren't they all alike?
No, this is different. It's Nitol.
Safe?
Sure, just follow directions, and it's non-habit forming.
So what's different?
Look, read this advertisement in Good Housekeeping.
Nitol's sleep-inducing ingredient dissolves more than twice as fast as any other leading brand.
It helps you get to sleep fast. You wake up raring to go.
Nitol, with the Good Housekeeping seal.
We own this Italian restaurant. I wear dentures, but I have to meet so many people, I can't afford denture odor. I've tried almost everything, but nothing works for me like Polident.
People keep coming back to Polident because no tablet, powder, or paste gives them the cleaning satisfaction of Polident. No wonder dentists surveyed recommend Polident over all other leading brands combined. No wonder denture wearers keep coming back to Polident.
Another explosion ripped through mine number 9 in Mannington, West Virginia today. It was just 1 week ago tonight that those 78 trapped miners entered the shaft. Late word from the accident scene from ABC's Don North.
Every day for the past week, rescue teams had hoped to enter the smoking portals of the number 9 mine. Persistent explosions still make it impossible. Drill holes also showed that poisonous gases made rescue or survival of the missing men impossible. The main fear in this community is that the mine may be sealed to smother the fire and at the same time cut off air to possible survivors. The mine company president restated his position.
I have said to the people down at the church, I thought I said it to all of you people, that we will not seal this mine until we are clear that further reasons for leaving it open no longer exist. I've also said, I think rather clearly, that when that decision is made, I will make it.
Mr. Corcoran, you've tried the drilling. You have 8 holes going. You've tried putting rescue workers down one of the entrances. Do you anticipate any other forms to contact the men at this time?
I know of no other procedure at the moment that hasn't been tried that might indicate some hope. If one develops, or if somebody has an idea that what I'm saying is this, based on the conditions as they now are, we've tried everything we know to try. If something changes and some other method appears feasible, obviously we'd try it.
There is nothing else under discussion?
There's nothing else possible to our knowledge at this time.
Thanksgiving hampers, 78 of them, were being prepared for delivery to the families of the men trapped in the mine. The hampers, complete with a turkey, were bought by the District United Mine Workers Union. As each day passed since the initial explosions in the mine, cautious optimism here has been replaced by a growing atmosphere of despair. And the sense of loss is always more intense while others prepare for traditional family gatherings like Thanksgiving. Don North, ABC News reporting.
Sore throat pain is no fun, and neither is gargling. That's why 25 million men, women, and children use Sucrets for minor sore throat pain. Unlike gargling, Sucrets medication gets all the way down your throat. For temporary relief of minor sore throat pain, Sucrets antiseptic throat lozenges for children and adults. recommended by many doctors. Now, something new from Sucrets.
Blink. Adjust. Scratch. Cough.
Your control center tells you what to do, like cough when you have a cold. But it doesn't tell you how to keep from coughing, unless it knows about new Sucrets Cough Control Formula, the non-habit-forming lozenge that works at your control center. When the urge says, cough, cough, suppress it with new Cough Control Formula from Sucrets.
In Paris today, French Premier Maurice Couve de Morville spelled out to the National Assembly and to the people of France the price the country must pay for refusing to devalue the franc or to hold it firm. To save money, the Pacific atomic tests scheduled for 1969 will not be held. The French contribution to the development with Britain of the supersonic Concorde jet will be slashed by $12 million. Government subsidies to some nationalized industries will be cut. And perhaps most painful of all to the ordinary Frenchman, sales taxes will be increased. Ahead for the French people, de Morville said, pain, work, and discipline. On the New York Stock Exchange today, Dow Jones Industrials were up more than 8 points, closing at 979.49. That's the high for the year. More than 16 million shares were traded. The New York Stock Exchange Index was up 38 cents. On the American Stock Exchange, more than 7.5 million shares were traded. The American Exchange Index was up 17 cents, closing for the 8th consecutive trading day at an all-time high. Along the Israeli-Jordanian border, opposing forces exchanged fire again during the night, and Jordanian rockets hit one Israeli settlement and just missed another. This latest attack emphasized the perilous position of Israel's frontier settlements, especially those in land Israel occupied after last year's war. ABC's Barry Dunsmore visited one of these communities, a kibbutz south of Jerusalem.
The kibbutz Kfar Etzion was founded in the mid-1940s. It was one of a cluster of 4 kibbutzim which fell in the War of 48. The women and children were evacuated before the final battle, when more than 200 men were killed defending it. For 20 years, it was a base for the Jordanian army, which constructed most of the present buildings. When the Israelis retook the area in June '67, many of the children of the defenders returned to finish the work of their fathers. Already there are new and strong ties forming. I had 2 children born in the kibbutz, whose fathers were born there and whose grandfathers helped found it and died for it. Despite Spartan conditions, the morale appears to be high. The 70-odd settlers are between 18 and 26 years of age. A few are married and others plan to be. The work in Etzion, like in most kibbutzim, is hard. Everyone has a job, and the job is always physical, even though many of the youngsters are former university students. The big job at the moment is clearing the land and leveling it for buildings and crops. In this rocky setting, this is no easy task. The long-term plans are to construct entirely new buildings on sites now being cleared and to leave the old kibbutz as a memorial. Etzion is surrounded on all sides by Arab villages. In the 18 months since the war, there have been no incidents here. Neither has there been much useful contact. It's doubtful that either group has much love or understanding for the other. Though they live side by side, they also live in 2 completely different worlds. That would seem to be the way the settlers of Etzion would like it to be, as the wounds of the past are still very deep. But one thing is certain, they have no intention of leaving. Barry Dunsmore, ABC News, in the kibbutz Etzion.
Oops, just act natural.
Oh, dear.
Hey, what's the matter? You ticklish?
Yes.
Hey, sharp billfold. Really nice, pal.
It's the console by Rolf's. It was a gift from my wife.
Nice and trim. Good taste, man. Hey, your credit's good. Why, there must be 20 cards in these staggered window pockets.
Yes, and you'll notice there are more in this thumb-slotted pocket.
Oh, and these slash sides make it easier to get the dough out, eh, pal?
I suppose you found the 2 secret compartments.
Yeah.
There.
Oh. Here, pal. Mind if I just keep the console? It's neat in the pocket.
Was a gift from my wife. The console in quality leathers from $6.
That's a steal. Are you a cop? Oh, dear.
The console, ideal for Christmas. One of the many gifts for the whole family from Rolf's.
Last night, near Coburg, a 16-year-old boy tried to cross from East to West Germany, but he stepped on 2 landmines, and his legs were blown off. For 4 hours, border guards on both sides, East and West, stood there and watched the boy bleed to death. The West German guards were ordered not to go to his rescue because they say the East Germans would have opened fire on them. The East Germans apparently were not willing to move out into the no-man's land for fear of detonating other mines. So they just stood there while the boy screamed for help. He pleaded with the guards on both sides, but nobody moved. Finally, after 4 hours, and after the boy was dead, the East Germans blew up several mines, reached the boy's body, and took it away. In Czechoslovakia today, more than half of 1,000 intellectuals attending a conference in Prague urged that the Dubček regime be condemned for going too far in yielding to the Soviet hardline demands. And student leaders, too, are hinting that more activities, such as their recent strike, are still under consideration. One student strike leader, Pavel Dolansky, agreed to risk an interview in Prague with ABC correspondent Russell Jones. Dolansky was accompanied by one of his strike assistants. The translation is provided by an ABC interpreter.
Did the strike accomplish anything?
The nation's response far exceeded all our expectations. It permitted the students to act as a unit, reacting to conditions with which we are not satisfied.
How did they show this support for the strike by the students?
They gave us moral support. The thousands who put their signatures to resolutions supporting our strike. And they gave us material support. Our strike fund still has 30,000 crowns, and we received food. We have eggs, 7,000 eggs we did not even ask for, and groceries and baked goods.
Well, do people, and again specifically the students, still hope for completely free speech, completely free press, right to travel, the right of free assembly?
These are basic principles which should be possible in all countries.
Are there any plans now for further action by the students, another strike, a demonstration, or anything of that nature?
Such considerations now are premature. We will, in the future, be guided by given situations and choose methods adequate to the situation. And we students would like to thank people from the entire world for their tremendous moral support from the date of August 21st.
Well, August 21st was the day, of course, the Soviet bloc invaded Czechoslovakia. Another top White House assistant named by President-elect Nixon. That story in a moment.
What's in a name? Like STP gas treatment, for example. Add some to your car's gasoline, and right away it means a quieter, smoother running engine with a lot more go power. It's like adding a little fire to your fuel. You just pour in a can of STP gas treatment every 1,000 miles or so, and it starts pouring on the power. It tunes your engine as you drive and reduces knocking, clears all the power-robbing dirt and gum out of your fuel line, and keeps spark plugs firing clean. It even prevents your carburetor from icing up in the winter. And it does it all for 65 cents. Next time you fill up your tank, toss in STP gas treatment. You'll feel the difference with the very first can. New STP gas treatment from the makers of world-famous STP oil treatment. Products that put the spring back in your car.
President-elect Nixon named another top White House aide today, former Kansas Congressman Robert Ellsworth. Ellsworth was Mr. Nixon's political director during the recent campaign. His duties were described as of a broad, general character. It has been just 3 weeks since Mr. Nixon won the White House, time enough for some reflections on the race. Vice President Humphrey's campaign manager and Democratic National Chairman, Larry O'Brien, had a few answers today for ABC's National Affairs editor, Bill Lawrence.
You have said that Mr. Humphrey ran for president under the most adverse circumstances. What were these adverse circumstances?
Well, there were a number of elements I think you'd have to recognize. One, obviously, was the short period of the campaign, and we, as a party, had conceived a convention that would bring about the renomination of an incumbent president. And
but I could have told you 2 years ago that wouldn't happen.
Well, I know, Bill, but I should have been listening to you 2 years ago. But it caused us difficulties, 8 weeks to campaign, and then, of course, the aftermath of Chicago. Then, beyond that, however, it is this awfully difficult situation that's presented in modern politics, the recognition of the poll results, if you will. When you're 16 points down on the Gallup poll and you're 3 weeks out of Chicago and 5 weeks before the election, believe me, it is difficult. It creates a vicious circle. You have little or no resources forthcoming to carry on a campaign. You have great depression among your workers and all the rest. And whether the poll is accurate or not at a given moment, the end result of such a poll brings about a degree of accuracy, because I think it casts a pall over the whole political apparatus. But I must say this, sitting here as national chairman and campaign manager of this campaign, it was apparent to me weeks before it was apparent to the pollsters from their findings that we were on the rise. Unfortunately, no one would believe us because the pollsters had not shown it.
The best college football player in the country. That story next.
Oh, those short little trips around town. Short trips foul spark plugs and make your engine lose power, waste gas, run rough. But AC keeps your car in action. AC fire ring spark plugs have an exclusive hot tip design. They fire hotter, burn cleaner. With AC, your car runs smoother. Gives you more go when you really want to go.
AC keeps your car in action. Break away in a wide traffic Pontiac.
Jack Nicholas. I broke away to improve my driving.
Break away in a wide traffic Firebird. 'Cause the wide traffic Firebird is the breakaway car.
Breakaway in a 69 Pontiac Firebird. But expect to have your drive improved in a hurry.
Pontiac, it's the breakaway car. Breakaway car this year.
To the surprise of no one, Orenthal James Simpson of the University of Southern California won the 1968 Heisman Trophy today, an award given each year to the top college football player in the country. O.J. Simpson has almost completely dominated college football this year. He has scored 21 touchdowns and gained more than 1,600 yards. A closer look now at USC's number 32 from ABC's Jim Burns.
O.J. Simpson is a pleasant, slouching youngster who's broken about every collegiate football record in the book. He's led USC to the Rose Bowl 2 years in a row, and everyone agrees he's simply the best there is, especially his coach, John McKay.
Well, I've said it so many times, I guess it's getting repetitious now to people throughout the country. I think he's the greatest runner and football player I've ever seen. He's done so much for the University of Southern California and so much for himself. And myself personally, I've never seen a boy that can do everything that he can do, and I think he's the greatest.
O.J. has won every conceivable football award and accolade except the Heisman Trophy, and now he has that. Here's what he has to say.
Anybody who plays football, anybody who plays anything want to be the best at it. And to win the Heisman Trophy, well, it represents the #1 player in college football, and a lot of people must think you're the best to vote you the award. I'm pretty happy, to think that people think I'm the best college ball player this year.
ABC News put together a film package of O.J.'s greatest runs from this year's games. We took it to Los Angeles and showed it to him.
Looking at my films, I know I don't run at top speed all the time. I think there's very few times I really run at what I consider top speed. Maybe if I'm in the open and trying to get to the goal line, or I see a hole and get in there. A lot of guys, they get the ball, they run as hard as they can, as fast as they can. I think you can run hard, but not as fast as you can, because you got to be under what you call body control.
This one here is, I think this is our first game against Minnesota. And that there was a 27 power, and got some real good blocking and just outran their outside cornerbacks. The way I think of running is, I think you should bring the punishment to the guy that's tackling. If you know you're going to get hit, the best thing you can do is try to attack him, because you're moving and he's standing still, and you're really bringing it to him. We're down about their 8 here, and I think this is some good blocking. They drove him back, and I just had to step over one guy for the touchdown. Some good blocking by the guy. Well, I think running is instinct. I don't think you can think about what you're going to do. I don't think you should look at a guy and wait for him to block a guy and then try to make him move. You should be getting there just at the time he's making the block. I mean, if you wait for a hole to open, by the time you get there, it's going to close. So you just anticipate it's going to open. This is our Oregon State game. This game cinched the Rose Bowl for us. This is 29 pitch. Yeah, kind of wish I had a tearaway jersey right there. The guy got my jersey. I think that was Sandstrom, and I just wouldn't let it go. Yeah, I'm a little tired, man. This is 29 pitch also. This is I think this one's for a touchdown. Watch this block by Danny Scott. Right there. Kick the guy out and just a matter of outrunning the rest of them. All the other guys hustling downfield. Oh, Bob Klein gets a pretty good block there. It's a little late, but it's a good one. Yeah, we were pretty happy. As I said, this game cinched the Rose Bowl for us, and most of the guys are pretty happy about this time. See all the guys, Sid Smith and Jack O'Malley, Bob Klein, Chandler, all the guys. We had a great game this game. All the guys blocked well, we ran well. We're pretty happy to get in the Rose Bowl. See the guys on the sidelines pretty happy. As Coach McKay in the blue, he's pretty happy. All of us are pretty happy about that.
Well, that's it for tonight, fans. I'm Frank Reynolds. Good night.
Unbearable. That's what it is. Unbearable. Tourists. Australia is crawling with tourists. And I know who's to blame. I know. Qantas. That's who. Qantas. What a name for an airline. Every day, every single